Hey, Pretty Girl Club. If there is anything specifically that you heard me talk about on YouTube and maybe you want me to go more in depth about that particular subject, please comment in the Patreon because I will see it. But I asked you guys a few hours ago what you wanted me to talk about next, and one person said, please talk about your favorite personal development skills, hobbies, and practices that helped you the most in social climbing. So that's a really good one. If I had to pick just one thing that really helped me the most, and this is a secret that a lot of people don't know on YouTube, the thing that helps me the most is reading. I have some friends that have their own book clubs or they're a part of book clubs. So whenever I have a friend that's inviting me to go to a book club, I will just go ahead and start reading whatever they're reading. Reading, reading, reading. And it doesn't have to just be reading like physical books. Um, I love to read articles, I love to listen to audiobooks. So, a part of my daily schedule is I listen to audiobooks for probably about an hour a day. And it doesn't really matter what the audiobook is about. So, for example, right now, I just listened to a romance book. I haven't read a romance book in I don't know how long. The last romance novel that I read was probably like 50 Shades of Grey, like 15 years ago. I don't know how long ago that was. But anyway, um, listening to audiobooks has greatly enhanced my content. So I didn't think that just listening to books would enhance my content, especially if the book had nothing to do with like exoticals. But it has helped me so much because I have never listened to some sort of audiobook and not grown as a person. So I've noticed that since I've been listening to romance books lately, and I just discovered the other day, I just discovered that there's a niche called African American romance, and so I've been reading like I tried reading a black one, like a black romance book. Um, it's actually an exotical, like the people in the romance books, they're actually exoticals, but I noticed that my storytelling ability has increased ever since I began listening to fiction books. And then in terms of nonfiction, I love self help books. I'm not spiritual. Well, I don't consider myself to be spiritual. One thing I do enjoy about some of these spiritual books is I love the inspirational aspect of it. So it's like whenever they're talking about God in the religious books, if you're an atheist or if you're not Buddhist or whatever, all you have to do is when they're talking about their God, just kind of replace it with whoever your God is, or you can replace it with yourself, or replace it with the universe, or whatever you believe in, or just ignore that part of the book. Um, and you're still going to get so much out of it. So I would say that is by far my number one social climbing secret. That's my YouTube secret. Okay, so that's just between us. That's a secret of the Pretty Girl Club. It's reading behind the scenes. So, like I said, I tend to listen to audiobooks. Oh, and the way that I do mainly free audiobooks is if you just go on YouTube, you type in whatever subject you want to read. So I typed in romance audiobook. I just finished It Ends With Us. I just finished that audiobook. If you type it into YouTube, like psychology audiobook, self-help audiobook, PTSD audiobook. I read The Body Keeps the Score. That was another amazing one. So if you just type it into YouTube, most of the time you'll be able to find some free audiobooks. And recently, my boyfriend actually he told me a new hack, which is to download a free PDF reader. So download the PDF document reader. It's an app. It's in the App Store. It's free. And then all you have to do is go to oceanofpdf.com or just look up like I don't know, Harry Potter PDF, Harry Potter free PDF. And then you know how when you search on Google, there are like 1,000 pages on Google. Just go to like the last page or go to the pages that are not the first page of Google because the first page is always going to show you how to purchase the audiobook. So I found this website called oceanofpdf.com, and it's basically like pirated books. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically like pirated books or free books. And the way that they are running their site, I don't know if what they're doing is like legal. Because I heard that some authors were sending them cease and desist so that they could get their books removed. But anyway, it's where you can get free books. So all you have to do is download the PDF from oceanofpdf.com, and then you just download it on your phone and put it into the PDF document reader. So as long as you don't mind an automated voice reading your audiobook, then you can still enjoy the audiobooks. So recently I just flew out of town. I'm actually in my hometown right now, and that's why my content has been like, I've been kind of slowing down, or like posting less or posting shorter videos or whatever. I tried to schedule as much of it as I could, but I have been able to enjoy so many free books over the last month. Actually, let me pull out my phone because, oh, another thing that I like to do, this is another part of my social climbing, I love to write down my accomplishments. So I actually have a document in my phone where I have listed out all of the books that I read each month. So that's something where I can go back and look at it. And then I'm like, wow, I read 6 books this month. I read 12 books this month. It's just a little validation tool that I give myself. It's a form of internalized validation for myself. So this month I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've read about 6 books this month. I think I may be forgetting some, but anyway, so that's another social climbing tip. You can put in your phone the books that you read. Okay, so my favorite book that I read this month, well, I'm actually still reading it. It is called Discipline is Destiny, and it's free. You can go on YouTube and just type in Discipline is Destiny audiobook. And I've noticed that whenever I read a self-help book, like if I'm listening to it, whatever that self-help book is talking about, I will instantly see results in my real life just from reading that book. So for example, with the book Discipline is Destiny, since I've been reading that over the past week, I noticed that I went on another 10 miler just the other day, because that's a form of discipline. I noticed that my diet was better than normal. Well, my diet was, I didn't eat as much junk food as normal. I noticed that like I started getting even better at planning out my content, because some of my videos have notes and then some of my videos do not have notes. Most of my videos are just me kind of speaking off the cuff, especially since I went full time. I don't have time to like write notes for multiple videos per day. Plus, I'd rather make the content creation process as easy as possible. I want it to be natural, because one of my affirmations, that would probably be maybe my second highest social climbing tool, by the way, is affirmations. I would say reading is number one, affirmations is number two, but one of my affirmations is that I get paid to be myself. So if I don't script myself in real life, I don't have to script myself on YouTube. So I don't make it a requirement like, oh, I have to take notes before I make a video. But anyway, that's my top social climbing tip, though. It is definitely listening to audiobooks, especially if you want to become multicultural. So for those of you who are monocultural, I know that I have some exoticals in the Patreon, and I have some women in the Patreon who are not exoticals. Some of you guys are non-black, some of you guys are unambiguously black, but all of you guys have been supportive. So far, I haven't really had any problems, except for that one dusty guy who tried to get into the Discord. But I've noticed that most of the people who are not exoticals join this Patreon because they want to learn how to interact with exoticals, or they want to learn tips and tricks for raising their exotical children and stuff like that. So if you're looking to become more multicultural, audiobooks are a fantastic way to do that. You can listen to audiobooks about the history of Italy. Let's say you want to date an Italian guy and your children are going to be exoticals or something. I don't know. I'm just making up a scenario. You could go and look online and find audiobooks about the history of Italy, or you can find a contemporary romance novel, like some sort of fiction novel or a mystery novel, and then make sure that the novel takes place in Italy. So there are tons of creative ways that you can learn new information and become more cultured. I feel so much more cultured as a woman who reads. Anytime I go more than like a few weeks without reading, like I went a whole month, I think, without reading anything, like without listening to any audiobooks. And I started to feel stuck creatively. And that's because I was not pouring into myself. When you are listening to an audiobook, information and creativity from others is being poured into you. And so being a part of this Patreon, it's kind of like one big gigantic audiobook. So it's kind of like an audiobook, and each episode on this Patreon is an extra chapter. But there are a lot of studies that show that listening to audiobooks, it helps with your memory, it helps with recall. It kind of helps you to flow in your thoughts more smoothly. A lot of people ask me how I'm able to have such a smooth stream of consciousness, like how I can flow when I'm speaking, because I don't drink, I don't smoke. A lot of content creators have to get high before they make content, or they have to do certain rituals in order to tap into their creativity. But I am in a constant flow state of creativity. I never run out of ideas. And my secret is listening to audiobooks. It's because I'm always taking in somebody else's creativity, even if it has nothing to do with exoticals. It could be a fiction book I'm listening to, and the fiction book inspires me to like create a new visual, or it might inspire me to talk about seduction tactics, because a lot of romance novels, they talk about seduction tactics. So the reason I had stopped listening to romance novel audiobooks is due to my decentering men journey. I did not want to take in content that could potentially make me more male centered. So watch out for that. If you're on a decentering men journey, just remember that that book is fiction, and it's most likely written by a woman. So the men in the novel, they definitely don't exist, because I've noticed a pattern, by the way, with romance novels in particular. The woman is always pretty, and she always owns her own business, and the man is always rich. I've noticed that in a lot of the romance novels that I've been listening to. But yeah, so I would just say anything you're interested in, get an audiobook about that. Get an audiobook on seduction. The Art of Seduction, that's a free audiobook online. So it's funny because Robert Greene is actually my favorite author, but I have not been able to get through I don't know that I've been able to get through any one of his entire books without falling asleep. And I'm really sorry to say that. He is still my favorite author though. His talking points are incredible. So I don't know if it's just the voice on YouTube, but who cares? I mean, you could also make it fun too. Um for those of you who did not go to college, when I was in college, I read an average of about 8 books per semester as a college student. So this is not for fun. This was like a part of my college classes. So if you want to become as educated as a college student, you could try reading at least 8 books, maybe every 3 months. I can't remember how long a semester was. Okay, September, October, November, December, 4 months. Okay, so 2 books a month. If you want to become as educated as a college student, try to read 2 nonfiction books per month. That's going to help you. Doesn't matter what topic it's about. It could be nutrition. My next book that I'm going to be listening to, it's going to be a nutrition book. Is going to be talking about the psychology behind food and like healing your relationship with food. So I'm excited to listen to that one. But that is my biggest and most secret and most highly underrated social climbing tip, is to listen to audiobooks. Even if you're just listening to podcasts, I would say if you don't have the attention span yet to listen to an audiobook, listening to a podcast will help you as well, because podcasts are geared more towards intellectuals. And so I actually have received a lot of content ideas from podcasters as well. I've talked about the different podcasts I listen to. I love manifestation podcasts. I think that they have some fantastic scientific stuff. Basically, when it comes to spirituality, if there is any sort of science to back it up, even if it's loosely tied to science, I'm interested. That's why I say I don't identify as religious. I don't necessarily identify as spiritual either, because the spiritual practices that I have, they're based on science. So I don't consider that to be spiritual. I consider that to be scientific. But somebody else had commented that they want me to speak more about the signs and about spiritual stuff. So I probably will. I used to be very devoutly religious. So I still, to this day, I still love discussing Christianity and New Age. So I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but I have gone through a point where I have studied almost every religion. And that was when I was like coming out of Christianity, because at first my thought was maybe I just chose the wrong religion. Maybe I should be Catholic. So I studied Catholic for a little bit. Then I was like, no, maybe I should be like Wicca or study witchcraft. I'm sorry if I'm traumatizing you, if you're a Christian listening to this, but I was like, maybe I should just see what it is. And then the way that I did it was like, hey, God, whoever you are, please forgive me. I'm not trying to sin against you. I'm really trying to find you. That was my mindset. So that's why I wasn't really that scared, because I was like, hey, God knows my heart. He will protect me if I'm doing anything like really wrong. So anyway, I went through all of the religions, and after going through all of them, I realized that they all overlap and that there are some universal laws. This is where the New Agers, this is where they get their universal laws from. There are some universal belief systems that are present in all of the religions. So anyway, long story short, I am very fascinated with the manifestation spiritual books or anything that is discussing the universal laws, because they're taking all of the religions, all of the thousands of different religions. I haven't studied all of them, but I've studied all of the popular ones. They're taking the thousands of different ones, and they're taking their ideas, and they're finding a common thread amongst all of them. So I enjoy audiobooks from authors that understand that, because their stuff is more likely to be based on science. So yes, I am very familiar with like Joe Dispenza and I don't know, all kinds of people, but audiobooks, that's my key, that's my secret. Or reading books. It doesn't have to be a physical book, but if you're really cheap, if you like physical books, but you don't like purchasing physical books, you can go to Half Price Books. You can go to the thrift store and see if they have any self-development books. You could even do what I used to do and go to Barnes and Noble and pick up a book for free and just start reading it. And then just sit in the library for a couple of hours and then find a secret bookmark or rip out a little piece of paper, make sure no one sees you, and try to hide the book, and then come back the next day and like do the same thing. That's something that I've done before. I've sat at Starbucks before inside of Barnes and Noble and read an entire book in one sitting. So if you're into physical books, that's something you can do. Something else that I love to do, I love to just be a student in general. I think that you should never stop learning. A classy woman who knows how to social climb, she never stops learning. She never stops growing. She's always learning new things. She's always opening her mind and exposing herself to new things. So sometimes I will take notes. Like I will take out my notepad and start taking notes. It's so cute. Some of you guys have actually emailed me your notes that you've taken from my channel. That is so cute. And I've seen some of you guys in the comment section, some of the pretty girls, I've seen some of you guys like post a summary of what I've said and like do bullet points in the comment section. So that's amazing. That's a sign that you're a natural social climber. So the more you know, the more knowledge you have, the smarter you are, the more of a social climber you will become, and the softer your life is going to be. Because remember, the smart girl, the smarter you are, the better your life is going to be. Let's just be honest. If I'm smart about my diet, I'm going to be successful. If I'm smart about my money, I'm going to be successful. How do you become smarter? By reading. Reading is the key to becoming smarter. Listening to audiobooks, that's the key to becoming smarter. Why do we perceive college students as being smarter than like non-graduates? Because they just read a bunch of books. That's really the only difference. They just read a bunch of books. They took classes discussing those books. And then they wrote summaries. They took notes on those books. They wrote essays about those books. So if you start doing that on your own, even if you're not college educated, people will think that you're college educated. You will sound educated when you speak. You'll know the definitions of words, and so you're less likely to be intimidated or threatened by educated people. You're less likely to feel threatened by them. Oh, and I forgot to mention when it comes to audiobooks, so I have three ways that I listen to them. So I listen to them for free on YouTube, whatever I can find. I listen to them on the PDF document reader, and I also have the Libby app. So Libby is where you can see if you can get some sort of library card or something like that. Basically, if you put in your name and your zip code and your phone number, it's going to give you a free library card from your local library, and you can rent out books for free, like you can listen to audiobooks for free from your local library. So that was a game changer for me, was downloading the Libby app. I also have the Apple Store books. So on the Apple Store, on the audiobook app, they have some free titles on there. So all of the classics are on there for free. They've got some free romance novels on there. There are so many free resources when it comes to knowledge. You have no excuse to be an idiot. I know you guys aren't idiots because you're literally investing in your education right now. You're investing in your knowledge by being a part of this Patreon, but that's a good way to get a free college education over and over and over again. A lot of people ask, how did you switch from journalism to accounting and marketing, and you did PR and you did all this stuff? How? By reading. That's all I did. I would just read, I would listen to accounting podcasts, and then when it came time for the interview, I had plenty to talk about. I had plenty of knowledge and information, and I sounded like I actually knew what I was doing because I took advantage of my free resources. A lot of people stay stuck because they're not changing their mind. If you don't change your mind, you can't change your life. So that's why a lot of people, they end up in cycles. It's because they stay within the echo chamber of like whatever their background is. They stay within the echo chamber of their hometown, within the echo chamber of the black race, within the echo chamber of fat women or white women or skinny women or whatever their echo chamber is. One of my biggest goals in life is to never, ever stay in an echo chamber. I mean, I can participate in it. Like when it comes to exoticals, I can make my content, but I should not just only be listening to exoticals and that's it. No, because eventually it's going to get repetitive and redundant and like boring. In fact, if you're a content creator listening to this, I don't recommend watching other exotical content creators right before you're about to make content. One of my rules is that I can't watch any exotical content until after I've already made my content for the day. Because you don't want to end up accidentally just creating this echo chamber where you're just parroting everything somebody else says. So yeah, that is my key to my creativity. That's the key to me being able to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff, and it's interesting. And every single time I make a video, my perspective is slightly different, slightly more nuanced. Yeah, it's because behind the scenes, I'm reading more than others. And you can tell because the copycats, they can't ever expound on what they're saying. So I made a video recently about like unambiguous copycats. I've noticed they can never expound on what they're saying. I can sit there and I can talk about one thing for like 2 hours if I wanted to. And I can go into all the depths and all the nuances and all the different types of pretty privilege and make a whole series on it. Some people can't even talk about that topic, pretty privilege, for more than 5 minutes. That's because they don't read books about pretty privilege. They don't read books about the psychology of beauty. They don't listen to audiobooks about beauty standards or what beauty is or how beauty trends change. They're not looking for that information. They only got their information from a YouTube video. I'm getting my information from not just YouTube and not just TikTok, but from everywhere. So books are the key. There's always a book that exists about your subject. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.